Hi there, I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark, and we're so glad that you're joining us today for The Honest Talk.
We're excited to be bringing you conversations with some of North America's most inspiring women, and we are thrilled to be partnering with RBC as we do so.
This podcast is about leaving behind the talking points and diving into the real, authentic, and unique personal stories of our guests. Stories which we hope might influence or inspire your own journeys.
So let's get right to it. Hey, Catherine.
Hello, Jen.
This is a pretty special week because we got to be in Toronto together this week, in person and on a podcast.
Yes, we got to be at a conference together, and we got to spend election day together. And we did two different things. You were a responsible professional and went to a dinner, whereas I holed up in my hotel room, watched elections.
I was the first person to leave the dinner. And I felt like I had a legitimate excuse, which was crawl into the hotel room bed and watch the election results. And boy, what a night.
Yeah, it was really a night. And I mean, for our listeners, by the time that they hear this podcast, the election is going to seem like a distant memory. But it really was an interesting evening to watch how things evolved. And I'm actually in Pierre Poilievre's riding. And so our daughter voted for the first time in this election. We went to advanced polling, and we must have lucked out with the timing because we got there when there was no lineup. We must have waited about 10 minutes max. But I swear the ballot, we had the long ballot, and it was as long as my arm span.
Like 90,
91, I think.
Holy cow.
And the look on my daughter's face when she got this like multi-folded ballot was just like, what is this? And then even with putting it in the ballot boxes, we had to shake the ballot boxes to make enough room in it for someone else to put their ballot in next. So I would not have wanted to be a part of that counting process. It wouldn't have been a lot of fun. Oh, we had the largest turnout in the country.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, it was what, 79% voter turnout?
I'm not actually 100% sure. I'm not sure what the voter turnout in the country ended up being, but it was they say as high as 2015.
Oh, so, I was saying in your riding there was.
Oh, in our riding, yeah.
Record-breaking turnouts, and you've done this too, regardless of your political stripes, having worked on political campaigns. I'm fascinated by the organization that has to go on behind the scenes for a GOTV, a get out the vote effort to get such high numbers. Like that's a big organizational effort.
Yeah, it is. And what's also interesting about this riding is that we're a combination of rural and suburban. And so, these are people who are, as you point out, but also individually really motivated to go and vote. Like, we're not affiliated with any party. No one came to us and said, do you need help getting to a polling station?
Interesting.
We just vote. But the same could be said for a lot of our neighbors. And every single one of them went out to vote. It was just kind of what everyone was seeming to be doing on Easter weekend, frankly. So anyhow, super interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless of the turnout, whether you like it or you don't like it, or you're happy or you're unhappy, like the fact that voter turnout is strong in such an important election with so many issues, and our lovely friend south of the border waking up and changing his mind on trade and tariffs daily. It's good to see people exercise their right to vote.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking of unfriendly, and we love our listeners in Toronto, but when we were in Toronto, four of us in Blazers, we're from Ottawa, went to the Toronto Maple Leafs Senators game. And I say Blazers because we made the very concerted, in the end, strategic decision not to wear a jersey. That was an experience.
Yeah, well, you were sweet enough to buy 4 tickets, which that was lots of fun. We were high up with the crowd, and I still think I have partial hearing loss. And the Sens are out now, so the Leafs are moving on. But it was an experience for sure, and you got the brunt of it. You had a particularly loud fan behind you.
He was screaming a lot of profanities, but I'm like, I'm from the Valley, like a couple profanities. I've heard it lots before, but it was the effort to scream that loud for that long. Like, I don't know about you. There are times where I'm emotional and I'm like, you know what? I don't have the energy to cry. My eyes are going to be puffy tomorrow. I'm going to be tired. I'm just going to not. Screaming is on the same level for me. Like, it takes a lot of energy and caloric output and your voice. And he must have screamed, how long was the game? An hour and a half and 2 hours?
Oh yeah, we were there for way over 2 hours for sure.
And the F
Yeah.
word just lost its impact, you know? Like, it just after a while, buddy, you just gotta you gotta stop. But you know what surprised me? And again, sorry, Leaf fans, but they were so supportive of the team until the team was losing. Then over half
Yeah.
people left during the third period.
Yeah, and the other thing that I remarked on is that, and I really hope that Leaf fans don't. This was just our outside observation. This
Yeah.
doesn't come from a place of judgment. But I really observed also that they literally turned on their team. Like they had been screaming lovely things, and then they started screaming like in support of their team.
Yeah,
And against the Sens, but then they started screaming against their own team. And I kind of
yeah.
thought, truthfully, maybe it's just my mom instinct coming out, but I thought that was really mean.
I thought it was mean too. I went home and told my kids about it. And I was like, if it's your team, it's your team. It's like your school pride. We had at the conference we were at, Doug Gilmore joined us the next morning. So I got home from the game and I'm like a new hockey fan. I've started to really enjoy the game this year, again, despite being from the Valley. I called my husband and I was telling him, this is my flight. This is when I'm home tomorrow. We've got breakfast. It's Doug Gilmore. I obviously knew who he was, but I didn't know the depth of his hockey career. I'm going to be honest. And my husband, who's very, Kevin, very like even keel, he was like, "What? You have Doug Gilmore?" And he had posters of Doug Gilmore above his bed as a child and like a whole bunch of, anyways, he was a huge fan. So we
That's
faced
awesome.
Kevin. Doug and I
Solid.
FaceTimed Kevin the next morning, and he acted like a giddy little child. And he was very embarrassed. He was just like, I think I giggled. And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you you didn't.
That's so
But
nice.
it was
So, what a
funny.
nice experience for him. So,
Yeah.
what did you have over your bed, Jen?
Who did I what? Sorry?
Have postered over your bed?
Oh, I had Prince William when he had hair and a much more substantial jawline.
Okay.
I remember when he was in Vancouver, he and Harry and Prince Charles at the time, King Charles, and I went to Whistler, and I was like trying to convince my mother to get us to Whistler because I just thought if Prince William saw me that yes, I would one day be queen. But you know what? It's okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. He did pick a good queen or future queen.
he's
I do
incredible.
like Kate Middleton a lot. I
Me
do think
too.
she's a rock star of a person.
He picked well.
Yeah. But you would have been great, Jen. You
Thank
would have
you.
been great.
Could
Yeah.
practice my
Yeah.
waves.
So we had, speaking of sports, though, going back to the sports element of our, deeply informed sports conversation, we had Christina Litz from the Northern Super League on the show, and we got really great reaction for that podcast. And I think it's partly just because people are really feeling a lot of energy around women's sports right now. So, of course, Northern Super League is women's pro soccer here in Canada, and they've launched, like they're out and going strong, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it really has, like with the PWHL, with the Super League coming to different cities across Canada, there really is a momentum. I think women are really excited. You don't quite grasp how excited they are to see women on these fields, on these rinks. And it was palpable. So I think it's really fantastic for our country. It's fantastic for little girls everywhere that play sports that now see a career trajectory versus just taking it to high school and then having to transition to cheering for a boys team. So it's exciting.
I also love that it redefines things for women, even in terms of bodies and appearance. Because, for a long time, there was a specific way that women were supposed to look. And I sometimes wonder if that plays into young women dropping out of sports. Because, and we've published some articles on this on the Honest Talk, the idea of people still being a little uncomfortable with strong or muscled women, or really sporty looking women. And I really
Yeah.
hope this changes the dialogue to now being like, like, hey, girlfriend, those are some wicked
Mm,
muscle thighs, or I love your arms, or whatever the case may
yeah,
be. Celebrating that element of
totally.
women, a different type of woman's body as well.
And I also think now, like I hear quite a bit actually, like fit is the new skinny. And I absolutely love hearing that because, we grew up in a generation where a certain kind of Kate Moss-esque body type, like
Yeah, for sure.
very little fat content, very little muscle content was so celebrated. And, we both have daughters, we both have sons. I'm with you. I'm just so glad to see it. And I also think you just admire something so different rather than admiring diet culture, which frankly is really gross. You're admiring the work that goes into building muscle and the discipline that goes into playing a team sport and getting up when you don't want to, working out when your body's tired, and really investing in your health. And I think I think it's so great because it's been a huge shift.
Yeah, I agree. And even on that front, another article that we published this recently was on what not to wear. Remember that show?
Oh yeah, with Stacey and Clinton on TLC. I used to watch it
Yeah.
all the time, but it was mean.
Yeah, I
Like
once used to be
it was
obsessed.
entertaining. It was entertaining, but it was very almost like just like body shaming kind of was back in the day, like very shameful. Like how dare this woman walk outside? Like they would do videotapes of these people that they were going to have these interventions on. I remember this clearly, and the people wouldn't know they were taping, so it'd be them coming to the office and maybe not looking put together. And then they would have this intervention and almost shame them for what they wore, what they looked like.
Yeah, that would so not work now in
Wouldn't
this
fly today.
culture. And I think that's why they're back, because my understanding is that the new approach is for them to really embrace and celebrate the person as they are. And instead of judging them, just kind of work with them to find out where their comfort is,
Yeah.
and up that. Which, you know, great business idea, because that reflects the times
Yeah.
that we're in. I don't know about you. So when I grew up, I had very limited choices about what I was allowed to wear. My mom was like, you can wear this or you can wear this. And I would say, and they were both the same outfit, essentially. I
Yeah.
remember my mom, I vowed not to bring the same approach to my kids just because it didn't matter that much to me.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom once putting the kids on the bus and saying afterwards, I really apologize when you get home. The kids look like they dress themselves for Halloween. And they said that it's okay. So, I just let it go. And it was hard for my mom. But now we're
Yeah.
this generation that's just like, yeah, you look great. Are you happy? Are you comfortable? Do you feel good about yourself? Okay, great. I mean,
Which
within reason,
which I love.
I do too. I do still tell my children what they need to wear. If it's a big event, I'll say,
Yeah.
let's do something like this. But
Yeah, our annual photo shoots, they're like, oh God, mom's dressing us. What it's some kind of plaid. But like generally, so my daughter's 11 and almost 12. And she's not very, even this term when like doesn't really fly. She's not very girly in terms of how she dresses. And even what does that mean? And she just rocks like the same like non-name like no name brand t-shirt and like her leggings or her jeans and like she owns it. And you're right, there's a little part of you as a parent, and I'll admit it's there for me too, that's like, well, maybe you should wear this. But then I'm also like more so just proud that you're confident in who you are
Mhm.
and you don't
Totally.
need to wear what every other kid's wearing to feel good about yourself. So I think that's been a shift. I think fitness, just being fit and taking care of yourself has been a big shift. And it's as much as we say it's more difficult to raise kids with social media and all these influences, there's a lot even before social media that was pretty negative that I think we've turned around pretty significantly.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that element of it too. We should let our readers know that we're trying to do more of these chats because we love having conversations with each other. But we would also love, did I say readers? I mean listeners. We want our listeners to
Yeah.
also know that if they have things that they'd like to hear us chat about too, that we are always willing to take comments and thoughts through the website too. So just fire off your suggestions to us, because it's fun to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll leave you on this note because there's birds chirping outside of my office. And there was a GoFundMe page for this bird watcher that actually has a camera. And then it has an AI integration where, like, say a finch comes to your bird feeder, it'll notify your phone and then it'll give you a little history on the finch and like where is it native to and what time of the season you're going to see it. I can't do this with a straight face, and it's my
Jen, are you retiring?
So
Are you announcing your retirement, Karen, to be a bird watcher?
Just mentally, just a portion of my head is retiring as I look at the birds through my new GoFundMe, very cool high-tech bird feeder.
Okay. That sounds like a rip-roaring good time.
For those of you who have never met me and are just listening, I'm not 60. Just emotionally, sometimes I am.
Well, you know what? I think that's awesome. And I look forward to having you help me identify some birds in the future.
Okay. Have a great day, Catherine.
Okay.
You too.
Well, that's a wrap. And to our listeners across Canada and around the world, we thank you for joining us.
You can hear The Honest Talk on iTunes, Spotify, and Simplecast, brought to you by RBC. You can also get more information on stories that matter to you at our website, thehonesttalk.ca, and sign up for our weekly newsletter where you'll get fabulous stories delivered right to your inbox.
But for now, thank you for being a part of today's podcast. Stay tuned for more great conversations and stay well.